What's up guys, it's Victoria from Under Victoria's Spell, and in today's video I'm going to be doing the mid-year Freakout book tag. I think that's what it's called, but I'm very excited. I have the questions, the books, all my answers picked out, so I'm so excited to hop into this video and talk about some books that I really loved this year. So let's hop into it. So question number one is the best book that I have read this year. And that's really hard for me because I'm really coming out of a reading slump and I've been reflecting, and I am really just like, have I found the book that I've just been obsessed with this year? And I'm like, I've really loved some books, but not really found a book that I'm in love with. Like, oh my gosh, like I have to read this book. But I'm like, what gave me that almost feeling? So I'm still on the hunt for my number one pick for the year. I don't think I have my top 10 ready yet, but I know right now if I had to pick a top 10, that Jasperville by Devney Perry is gonna have to be my pick. This is a book that I really just devoured. I started reading The Edens by Devney Perry this year. I'm all caught up. I just need to read the newest release, which I'll be talking about here in a little while. But this is really a book that really captivated me, and I was really attached to the story, and I really love it. And it's the book that I think about the most often out of all the books that I've read so far this year. So I'm gonna go with this book. This is Jasper and Eloise's story. Eloise is actually one of my favorites out of all the Edens because she owns this hotel and she's kind of like the goody two-shoes of the family. And I think just seeing her do something completely wild and get married in Vegas just really captured me. And this is a beautiful small town romance, forced proximity, surprise marriage, and I just love their banter together. I love the angst. I love how protective he is over his wife. And I just think this is such a good story. If you have not read the Eden series by Devney Perry, you definitely should. This is definitely one of my favorites because I love a forced proximity romance. Question number two is the best sequel out of a series that you have read this year. And I was really picking my brain because a lot of my books that I read are kind of standalones in series, but I was thinking, so I might be cheating a little bit, but I decided to go with A Court of Silver Flames. This is kind of a sequel because it's a second couple that we're following in the Agatar world, and I recently just finished this and I really enjoyed it. This follows Nesta and Cassian. I think this is such a powerful story. It's a redeeming arc for Nesta. It's a mental health breakthrough for Nesta. It's a beautiful love story between this amazing chemistry that Nesta and Cassian have. We're in the Agatar world, which is always epic and amazing. And I think this has been the best sequel because I loved Nesta's redeeming arc, her mental health journey, the family aspect, and of course, the love story. So I'm gonna go with this one for my best sequel that I've read so far this year. Question number three is a new release that I'm really wanting to read, but I have not got to yet. And this is actually a new release that just came out, so I'm kind of cheating a little bit, but it's Crimson River by Devney Perry. It's her, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth book in her Eden series. I believe there's one more to go after this. I'm so excited for this one. It's following the sister that owns the coffee shop, and really I don't know a lot about this story at all. I kind of am going into it blind. The cover is beautiful. I'm excited to kind of see what their tropes for their story is going to be. I don't even know who her love interest is, but I've enjoyed every single one of the Eden's books. I've really enjoyed Devaney Perry. So I am very excited to hop into Crimson River, and I'm hoping to get to it this month or next month. But that's my answer for question number 3. Question number 4 is a book release that I'm most anticipating for the second half of the year. And I'm gonna have to go with Hopeless by Elsie Silver. It's her last one in the Chestnut Spring series, and we're going to be wrapping up this beautiful world and following kind of all the siblings. And this is Beau's story, and I'm very, very excited for his, because you've kind of seen snippets of him throughout the series, but you really learn in Powerless and in Reckless kind of a little bit more of what's going on. So I'm very excited. I feel like this is going to be like a damaged hero story. Elsie does amazing when she writes her heroes, so I'm very excited. I'm looking forward to that. I think it comes out fall this year, so I'm very excited, and that's my most anticipated release in the second half of 2023. The next question is, what was my biggest disappointment in books this year? And I think this was kind of hard for me to pick because I've had a lot of mediocre reads this year, but I'm like trying to really think of a book that really, I was just like, dang, I really wanted to like it. And I think I'm going to go with Requiem by Callie Hart. This was a buddy read that I did with Autumn and Erica. And this is a book that has been hyped up on BookTube. I've seen Tori from Novel Life talk about it the most, and I was like, okay, this is gonna be good. The cover is amazing. The title just seems so enticing. I was ready to go into like gothic, you know, angst. And I ended up giving this book, I believe, 2 stars. I really did not like this book. I thought it was very problematic for me. I thought the story was a little chaotic and all over the place. And whenever a book's really hyped, you would think that the story is just going to captivate you. And for me, I found myself very bored and very annoyed with our heroine and our hero. And I just didn't like some of the choices that the author wrote about that kind of just didn't add up. And I was like, this is just not the right book for me. It was very disappointing. I know Autumn and Erica have different thoughts about it, but that's what's great about reading with friends, is everybody has different opinions. But I think that this was my biggest disappointment so far in 2023. So the next question is my biggest surprise, and I really couldn't come to a conclusion, so I think I'm gonna go with my biggest surprise in my reading taste. And I think that I've really found my niche in romance, and I think that's Small Town. You'll see that is very consistent in the books that I read, and I think that Small Town really is just where I find the most enjoyment in my romance stories, and also billionaire romances. There's just something about that high lifestyle of the rich and the famous that I really love. So I think that my biggest surprise is really coming to the terms that I've found my niche, which is small town romance and billionaire romances. I have just been obsessed with each of them, and that's where I've found my highest ratings within my books. So that's my biggest surprise so far in 2023. So the next question is my favorite new author debut or new to me. And I'm going to go with Catherine Cowles for this one because I just started reading her this year. I've known about her. Her books are very well known. And I think she's been the most surprising because I was like, she's so hyped up, it kind of scares me that I'm not going to like her books. But again, she fits those niches that I really, really love, which is small town. And she does small town romantic suspense. And it's just like my perfect combination when I'm reading a book. I think her stories are so wholesome. They're quick and easy, and you just feel happy after you read them. So I think she's my new favorite for who I've really gotten to trial in the new authors. So Catherine Cowles is my answer. The next question is, who is my new fictional crush? and this is hard to narrow it down, okay, because I have a lot of fictional crushes. But I'm gonna go with probably who gave me the most like giddy feeling, and that is gonna be Jasper from Jasperville. I really loved him. I loved how he was just such a man, and he was very like there for his woman and very protective, and the first time he says that's my wife, it just did something to me. So I just love his story, and I really enjoyed the journey, of course, of them as a couple. But Jasper, he just is someone that I'm like, I wish I could meet you in real life and be friends with you, because I feel like I just really connected with him. So I really love Jasper, and he's my current fictional crush if I had to narrow it down to one, even though, as you know, I have so many. The next one is who is my new favorite character, and this is also hard because I'm like, there's so many, but I think I want to choose one that was like really powerful to me, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this was just such an amazing story, and I just think that this character had the biggest growth, and I have to go with Nesta from A Court of Silver Flames. I think we've seen her journey since book 1, and to finally get her own book and just see her kind of go to the ashes and rise from the ashes and turn into this blossoming, beautiful human, or actually fae, not human. But I just really loved her story. I think that it is such a true representation of mental health and family and struggle, and I just think that I'm rooting for her, and I'm so glad she got her happy ending. I loved it. I adored it. She is definitely my favorite character right now because I'm just her biggest fan, and I'm rooting for her happiness. So she is my favorite character. The next question is a book that has made me cry. I've had a few tears this year, I'm not gonna lie, over some books, but I think I'm gonna have to go with one that surprised me, and that is gonna be When Ashes Fall by Marnie Mann. This book took me completely by surprise. This was another buddy read that I did with Autumn and Erica. This was Autumn's pick, and I was like going into it because I've never read a book by Marnie Mann. She's a new to me author, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm really not sure if I'm gonna like this book. I got it on audio, and when we started it, I was 1000% captivated by it. From page 1, I was like, what is going on? What is happening? I am absolutely heartbroken by this story, and I can't get enough of it. This book is not a book for the faint of heart. I will tell you, please check your trigger warnings before you go into this book. But this made me cry because of the heroine's story, and you get different points of views and different timelines, and really just seeing it come together, I was flabbergasted. It was beautiful, it was heartbreaking, and it was a roller coaster, and I cried at the end. My heart was broken for these characters. I can't really tell you too much about the book because it will kind of give away everything, but it is a book heavily dealing with grief, I will tell you that. And it was beautiful and awful, and I still think about it, but that is definitely a book that has made me ugly cry. The next question is a book that has made me happy, and I am gonna go with Close Quarters by Candy Steiner. This is a book that I just read this month, but I really loved this book. First off, it's age gap. I love an age gap. It's a travel romance, which I'm thinking about doing a video about traveling romances, and I just loved the travel romanticizing aspect. It just made me happy while I was reading it. This is a story of this girl who is a photographer who gets hired to go around the world and take pictures because that's what she wants to do, and this man who is just captivated by her, but she has a boyfriend that's working on the boat. So, you know, a little taboo already. And check your trigger warnings, check the things that make you angry, because this is a book that deals with some of the topics that are going to make you a little crazy. But the part that made me happy was seeing her mental view of how she sees the world and takes pictures, and the CEO billionaire falling in love with her and taking her and making her feel like she's in a fairy tale and she's the most special girl in the world. And I just thought it was beautiful. I loved this couple. It was a little soap opera at times, but really the travel aspect of it really just added to the story. It was a book that just made me happy. There's a scene in the book where they are dancing at like a water fountain with a violin, and I just felt giddy the whole time while I was reading it. So it's definitely a book that has made me very happy that I've read this year. The next question is the most beautiful book that you have bought or received. I bought this book. The cover, when I saw it when it came out on Instagram, I was like, I have to have it. It is gorgeous. And I'm so glad that I do. And that's Powerless by Elsie Silver. I just think this is so beautiful. I love the blurred effect. I just love that this is a beautiful representation of Jasper and Salome. And it's Elsie Silver, small town, sports romance. It's so good. Childhood friends to strangers to lovers. And oh my gosh, it's so good. But this cover is just so beautiful. I had to have a copy of it. But all of my covers are beautiful, but that is one that I was like, when I saw it, I was like, I'm buying the physical copy no matter what. So I'm gonna go with that for my answer. And the last question is, what are the books that I need to read before the end of the year? The list is never ending, but I'm going to go with the books that I have made videos about and ones that I'm really excited about that I want to get to. And the first one is Corrupt by Penelope Douglas. This has been on my list for too long. I've made so many videos about it. It is a very hot series, and I'm like, okay, I need to get to this because I loved Birthday Girl by Penelope Douglas. So Corrupt is definitely going on my list. The second book that I really want to get to is another book that was incredibly hyped, but it's also an intimidating read for me, and that's Sea of Ruin by Pam Godwin. The cover's beautiful. I actually just bought the ebook version of this, and I'm thinking about buying the audiobook to listen to this because it's a historical pirate romance, and that really intimidates me because I don't read historical. But if I can read fantasy, I can definitely try this one, and this is a book that has been incredibly hyped, so I want to get to it. And the last book that I want to get to, because I'm a huge superhero fan, I am currently rewatching Smallville, one of my favorite TV shows, so I had to pick something that I really want to get to, and that is When Gracie Met the Grump by Mariana Zapata. I really love Mariana Zapata. This is a superhero romance. It's long, it's intimidating. I have heard no one talking about this book. I just know that it's out, so it's a book that I really want to get to. But I have 1,000 more that I really want to get to, but those are like the top 3 thick books that I need to get to. And that's all the questions for the tag today. If you want to do it, I will list the questions down below and tag me in your video. I would absolutely love to watch. I can't believe we're in the midway point for the year. It's insane. I am 3 books behind schedule on my reading goal, so I need to get to reading. But I will see you guys in next week's video. Thank you all so much for watching. Bye.